round up our discussion about the IMF by quickly mentioning how they did during the pandemic response, because I think that they have actually lent out rather forcefully, which is a very big break from before, right? And I think it's also something that you see in general during the pandemic, that even in Europe, which is known for its sort of fiscal conservatism, that a lot of there has been massive government spending. It's just absolutely insane what has happened in the United States, but also in Europe. And then people were very much afraid, to a certain degree, rightly so, that this was much less in developing countries. This was true, I think. I've noticed this already in South Africa when I still lived there, when the pandemic was in full force, that sort of the measures for companies in South Africa were much, much less generous than they were in the Netherlands. But here, the IMF really did step in, doing what they were supposed to do, namely being a lender of last resort in a situation that is just totally not the fault of these countries. So what they did is they just did a lot of loans to many countries, among which South Africa. I think without a lot of the conditions that they usually do. So feel free to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong about that. But that's what I took away from it. And the second thing they did is that they created a lot of extra, getting back to that, SDRs. So they created a lot of extra money that's not on their balance sheet, but is money nonetheless. And what they did is they allocated all of this to the member countries in proportion to their share of the economy, which benefits deficit countries a lot more than surplus countries, because they sort of increased the pool of liquidity and gave everybody a little bit extra, meaning that countries that were importing more than they were exporting could continue that and wouldn't face this massive run on their currency that typically happens in a crisis, or is much more likely to happen in a crisis. And there, I'm actually quite surprised, and I think this might even show that the orthodoxy is also on the way out in the IMF,